My brother Liam is a few years younger than me, so I always had an excuse to do kid stuff for longer than my friends. This especially came in handy around Halloween. Trick-or-treating was my favorite thing to do in the world, and I wasn't ready to give it up yet. This was a couple of years ago, the last time I went trick-or-treating. We live in a pretty nice neighborhood. No crime as far as I know, and no fears that I can remember growing up in terms of strangers or anything like that. It was a busy night. Halloween fell on a Friday, so everyone was out in droves. Liam was dressed as Kylo Ren, and I was the dude from The Big Lebowski. We'd only been out about 30 minutes when I noticed some snickering behind us. It'd been happening for a while. It was loud and deliberate, almost as if someone wanted us to turn around. I didn't give them the satisfaction. I sped us along and we crossed the street for the next house. The old woman who lived there was a friend of my parents, so it felt like a comfortable getaway. She gave us our candy, complimented our costumes, then sent us on our way. As the door closed, I took a look around, but didn't see anyone else in the immediate area. There were kids in costumes across the street and a few doors down, but that was about it. I was relieved. Liam took off running to the next house and I went after him. We got some more candy, then some more, and I was ready to go home. Until we ran into one of my best friends from high school. Tony was the only other 9th grader I'd seen out there, so it was a nice surprise. I asked him what he was up to, and he said getting free candy. That was all the convincing I needed to stay out a little longer, and Liam didn't want to go home either, so we went down another street. We had a good time for about 5 or 6 houses, joking around and acting like children. But then we came to a small white house with the lights off inside. We were about to skip it when Liam noticed a bowl of candy on the porch. Usually if the light was off, it meant they were done for the night. But Liam said there was still candy in the bowl, so we ran up to get it. I told him to just dump the whole bowl in his bag and we'd go home. We could still hit a few houses on the other side of the street as we crossed back. Liam went up to the porch with his bag in his hands, and I got a better look at the house. There weren't any decorations except for one, a fake dummy werewolf sitting in a rocking chair. It was creepy, especially without any lights. Liam stopped to check it out, clearly terrified. I told him to hurry up while Tony tried to do a kickflip on his skateboard. Tony was an idiot and he wasn't good at skateboarding, so it was hilarious watching him fall again and again. That's what had me distracted when I heard my brother scream. I ran to the porch to find it wasn't a dummy. It was a man in a werewolf mask just sitting there in the dark. Liam said the man tried to grab him, but the guy was pretending not to move again. I told him to go fuck himself, and we started to walk away when a second figure came out from behind the bushes. It was a clown. But not just any clown. The costume was caked in blood, and instead of just a red nose and a wig, the man wore a horrible ghoulish clown mask. Nope. I grabbed Liam's hand and we got the hell out of there. Tony split off at the end of the street and Liam and I began our last 3 blocks to the house. Neither of us were talking as we walked back the first block. I tried to think of something to say to change the subject. I didn't want him to be scared of trick-or-treating, so I started going on about how much candy we got. This seemed to work until it happened again. Snickering behind us, and the clear sound of sneakers scraping cement. They were following us. It was the same people from earlier, it had to be. I pressed Liam's back, getting him to speed up, and we made our way to the second intersection. The snickering got louder. Then came the growling. They started taunting us. I heard one of them whisper, "How fast can they run?" I had enough. I stopped in my tracks and I turned around. Sure enough, there were the 2 guys from the porch, a clown and a werewolf. They both stopped when I did. I gave them a disapproving look, then we kept on walking. Liam was getting scared again, but I told him it was nothing to worry about, just a Halloween prank. He said he didn't like it, and I couldn't blame him. I stopped a second time to tell the guys to find something else to do, and they laughed, but after that I didn't hear them again. Next time I checked behind us, there was nobody in sight. We crossed the street, then walked the last block to the house. Liam went to sleep, presumably having completely forgotten about the encounter. I brushed my teeth and got in bed, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Who were those guys, and what were they doing following us? I had to assume it was just a prank, but the unsettling feeling stayed all the same. I put on a movie, then I fell asleep. I woke up about an hour later. It was 2 in the morning, pitch black in my bedroom now that the TV had shut off. I usually sleep through the night, so I had no clue what woke me, until a rock hit my bedroom window. I jumped in fear, pulling the blanket up out of instinct. I waited for a few minutes, then another rock hit. I looked up and couldn't see anything. My bedroom's on the second floor, so I don't know what I expected. I got up as quiet as I could, crept over to the window, making sure not to be seen as I slowly peeked my head up into view. I still couldn't see anything. The rocks had stopped and I felt it was safe to stand up, but when I did, my heart skipped a beat. There he was. The werewolf was standing directly below my window looking straight up. How was this possible? Did they follow us home? The idea that either one of these creeps knew where we lived made my skin crawl. But then came an even worse thought. Where was the clown? I backed up from the window and left my bedroom for the equally dark hall. I could hardly see anything, but I had no trouble getting to my brother's room. The door was cracked as normal and he was asleep in bed. I continued to my parents'. Their door was shut. I didn't bother waking them. I went downstairs to check that the doors were locked. I looked out the peephole in the front. Nobody there. Then I walked to the back. The automatic porch light was on, but it went off within a few seconds. Someone was in the backyard. I circled around through the kitchen to get a better look out the back windows. I couldn't see anything, but he could have been hiding behind the shed. I waited a little longer, feeling relieved that at least the door was locked. Then I heard it, a creak from the hall. Shivers shot down my spine as I focused all my energy into staying silent. The creak came again. There was someone in the house. I went back through the kitchen, peeking around to the hall, but it was too dark to see. I debated internally what I should do and decided on flushing the intruder out. I turned on every light in the house, save for the ones in the bedrooms. I searched everywhere. Every couch, every corner, the broom closets, the curtains, under the beds. There was nobody. The only place I hadn't looked was my parents' room, and even though I didn't want to wake them up, I thought I had to now. I walked down the hall once again, only something stopped me about halfway. The door to my brother's room was wide open now. At first I thought he might have gotten up to use the restroom, but then I went inside. Liam was fast asleep. I checked around, making sure there was nobody else in the room. Then I gave up and decided to go back to sleep. I began to close the bedroom door when I spotted something on my brother's bed. It looked like a face directly beside him. Furious, I rushed back in, ready to fight, but I stopped when I realized what it was. There on the pillow beside my brother's head was the clown mask.